Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about GameCube and Wii emulation with Dolphin. And Dolphin has just dropped their 10th anniversary special, their progress report for February, March, and April. Now for reference here, Dolphin is much older than 10. If I'm not mistaken, it was released back in 2003, so it's over 20 years old. But the progress report here is 10 years old. Now to celebrate this momentous occasion, Dolphin has put together a bug showcase, Skyward Sword and Dolphin 2.0. I'll drop a link to this YouTube video in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. They're calling this a disaster piece. Now as for the article itself, it's well written and it's got a whole bunch of improvements in it, some of which we've covered in previous videos. I do recommend checking it out. For example, this resolution improvement for one-time native resolution. They've implemented IR pass-through for emulated Wii remotes. For example, if you've got a controller with a gyroscope, you may be able to take advantage of this. They've added in an auto HDR post-processing shader. They say here you need an HDR screen, you need HDR enabled. And then turn on HDR post-processing, and then select the HDR post-processing shader. Now for those of you with an iPhone, I've got some bad news for you. We've talked about this one in previous videos, but here it is reiterated directly from the source. Why isn't Dolphin coming to the iOS App Store? And the answer is simple here. Apple does not allow third-party apps to use JIT recompilers on iOS and iPadOS. I've linked to side-by-side video comparisons in the past, but they say here there are ways to get around JIT. However, they are many times slower than Dolphin JITs, making them unusable for actually playing games. So while at this point in time the iPhone still has emulators on it, unfortunately it still falls far behind Android. It's far inferior. And speaking about iOS and the App Store, next up we're talking about Provenance, and Provenance is making progress to getting on the App Store. So they say their first test flight submission has passed review. We encountered a minor issue where the build crashes on load, but our team is on it and we expect to have it fixed by the end of the day. Now for those who may not be aware, Provenance is an iOS and tvOS front end for multiple emulators, including PPSSPP. And speaking about crashing upon loading, next up we're talking about Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulator SameBoy. SameBoy is trying to get on the App Store, but they're encountering a very weird issue. So the developer says App Store review rejected SameBoy because it allegedly crashes on startup. They didn't attach any crash report, and it works just fine on all iPhones I tested it on, so I have no means of fixing it. They also took 2 weeks to review an app that allegedly just crashes. So unfortunately, I don't have a time frame as to when SameBoy is going to get on the App Store. I'm assuming the developer is just going to arbitrarily change something so they review it again, but who knows. But next up, we're talking about the best Nintendo Switch emulator on PC, and that's Ryujinx, and Ryujinx just got a couple of updates. So as of version 1.1.1293, it fixes direct keyboard not working when using a controller. It allows the UltraCam benchmark tool for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to be used without setting a keyboard as the controller. And it allows Deltarune, Undertale, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake, and likely other games to be played with direct keyboard controls. Next up, we're quickly talking about PS2 emulation with PCSX2, and PCSX2 got some minor updates that may have a major impact depending on what games you play. So there's a minor GameDB update here for God of War 2, and this is the before, and here is the after. So if you take a look, the God rays are now showing. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about Google Play, and I'm pretty sure this is clickbait or engagement farming in some way, shape, or form. I mean, they haven't taken it down yet, and it is a train wreck. They've got a series of tweets that start out by saying Sonic, but as you scroll, he gets older and older. And almost every single tweet has one of these notes on it. Sonic does not get older and older as you scroll. Every post in this thread is labeled incorrectly. and most of them are in the completely wrong order. For example here, they start out with 1991 Sonic, and the reader's notes, this screenshot is from Sonic 1 2013 Mobile because Tails can't be Sonic's partner in the original Genesis release. So while that first post may have fooled a few people, the second post here I don't think is fooling anyone. 1993 Sonic, OK Short King. And the reader's notes, this is Sonic as he appears in Sonic Boom, which released in 2014. I'll be honest with you, I'm not quite sure as to why Google did this. I mean, this screams of AI involvement, and Google has their own AI, Gemini, which used to be Bard. If they are using Gemini to generate this, it's not a good look. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I mean, it's pretty bad when Sonic the Hedgehog themselves say, "What are you doing?" Next up, we've got a quick update in the world of Nintendo Switch flashcards. Now, previously we've talked about the MIG switch and also the Unlock switch. The Unlock switch is supposed to be a clone of the MIG switch. The MIG switch team says Unlock switch is a scam, and instead of being a clone, they just have an early prototype batch. Now, after those accusations, the MIG switch team has not remained silent. They published a letter to Team MIG switch. Now, I'm not going through this entire letter. It's very wordy. I'll drop a link to it in the description below in the event that you wanted to check it out. I think this paragraph kind of sums everything up. Yes, our product is based on the concept of yours, but our final version is clean without any stolen code, making it completely different, even more legally a bit less risky, let's say, sound than yours in the end, whatever that means. So I guess your guess is as good as mine. Time will tell as to whether or not Unlock Switch is going to be the real deal or a scam. If they can fill pre-orders, it may be the real deal. Moving on, and I'm not quite sure on how I feel about this one. Apparently Walmart and Roblox are teaming up to make virtual e-commerce a reality. So Digiday reports that as of today, which was April 29th, Walmart is able to sell physical goods directly to users inside Roblox. If I'm not mistaken here, the average age for Roblox players may be a little bit less than the average age of the customer at Walmart. I'll drop a link to this article in the description below, but they're saying here that basically you can try on virtual items on your avatar and then purchase them on a Walmart website. It is gated specifically to users aged 13 and older. Now, based on the player base of Roblox on Android only, it's got over 500 million downloads. I'm assuming there's a fair number that are over 13 years old. Let me know your thoughts about this whole thing in the comments below. Moving on, and we're talking about some fighting games. And you may or may not be aware right now, but EVO is currently taking place in Japan, a massive fighting game tournament. And this usually means we get some fighting game content. And Akuma has just been revealed for Street Fighter 6. He launches on May 22nd. And from Tekken 8, Lidia from Tekken 7 will be joining the cast as of summer of this year. Next up, we're quickly talking about Linux. And Garuda Linux has just dropped a brand new update called Birds of Prey. It features KDE 6. Garuda is a free and open source Linux gaming distribution based on Arch Linux. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Now, if Arch Linux is not your thing, next up, we're talking about Bazzite, and BazziteOS just got a brand new update. It's based on Fedora, and yes, you guessed it, the update is based on Fedora 40. So the release is Bazzite 3.0. It features KDE Plasma 6 and GNOME 46. It will support the Steam Deck OLED, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. And speaking about links in the description below, next up I'll drop a link to this one in the description below. If you're in the States, you may want to be concerned about this one. The FCC has just fined major carriers $200 million for selling customer location data. The article says T-Mobile faces the largest fine at $80 million, AT&T at $57 million, Verizon at $47 million, and Sprint at $12 million. Unfortunately, I've got no idea as to whether or not the end user is going to receive any of those funds, considering it was their data. Next up, we're quickly talking about Roku, and if you've got a Roku device, you may or may not have noticed this one already. But apparently Roku is going to be inserting video ads in the app's home screen marquee. Fortunately, this one here is for Breaking Bad, which I'd argue is a fantastic show, but who knows what they're going to show in the future. Next up, we're quickly talking about Dino Crisis 2 on PC. Now, a long while back, Capcom released Dino Crisis 2. And this update here, Dino Crisis 2 Classic Rebirth, is a fan update to make the game work on modern PCs. If you are curious about this one, I'll drop a link to it in the description below. They're saying here that Rebirth replaces DirectDraw 7 with Direct3D 9 and a whole bunch more. Next up, we're quickly talking about emulation on Apple devices, specifically the iPad. And for those of you wondering when Delta is heading to the iPad, the answer is soon. So they say here, yes, it's coming. We've been working on it for a while and it's near completion. Just need to finish up controller skins and fix some last bugs. To be honest with you, I don't know how comfortable it would be to use a touchscreen on an iPad for emulation. I'd assume a controller is much more comfortable. But at the same time here, if you've got an iPad, are you going to use Delta on it? And speaking about touchscreens, next up we're quickly talking about Matt KC. Now, Matt KC is proposing that he is going to be creating something that works on Android that replaces the Wii U gamepad. If that wasn't big enough, Matt is saying it's going to be cheap, open source, and DIY friendly. Now, in my opinion, this would breathe extra life into a whole bunch of Wii U consoles. I mean, without the Wii U gamepad, it's not necessarily the best console out there. And maybe it's not the best console anyways, but at the same time, without that Wii U gamepad, it really limits what you can do. And on top of that, Matt is anticipating you'll be able to pair a controller to your phone and connect that to the Wii U. That would be absolutely huge. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, I am super skeptical about this one, but Snowlatch says with Folium, iPhone 3DS emulator, and Mario Kart 7, make a 4-hour train ride feel like 4 minutes. I don't necessarily think that this is possible without JIT support. Now, Snowlatch says they got the emulator when it was in test flight and it'll be on the App Store soon. Now, I don't want to say it's fake, but I'm highly skeptical, and Folium is not free. It's $4.99, and I'm assuming it's going to be $4.99 on the App Store. And speaking about fake, last up here, we're talking about something that's not fake, although it sounds like it is. Apparently, there's a clone on the market coming soon for the Mr. FPGA. If you were ever interested in picking up a Mr. FPGA, you might be excited to know that there may be a version that's significantly cheaper. Taki Udon is reporting that the base board is going to be about $99 overall, which would significantly drop the overall price. If you wanted to learn more about it, I'll drop a link to Video Game Esoterica's video in the description below and feel free to check it out. He elaborates on a little bit of what he thinks might happen. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Or maybe one fluff, you'll see her in the outro. Let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about today in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.